We didn't realize it, but Motorola suddenly has changed its product strategy this year. Earlier, the company used to launch one phone per series, but now Motorola suddenly has two phones or more per series. In the Moto X series, you have the Moto X second gen, you have the Moto X Play, you have the Moto X Style. In the Moto E series, you have the 3G and 4G variants, both of which are at different price points. And in the Moto G series, you had the Moto G third gen. But now you also have the Moto G Turbo. This phone has just been launched in India last week. It costs Rs 14,499 and it has the Snapdragon 615 SoC upgraded from the older 410, and it supports fast charging, which is something that a lot of us have really appreciated. So does the Moto G Turbo justify its bigger price tag? We're going to find out. More or less all the things about this phone remain the same. You have the same design, you have the same display. So those things are the same as what we said in the Moto G review. So yeah, the design and the display still is quite good, and the design, if you have liked Moto G designs till now, you will like this. What I really like though is that with the 615, the performance has increased a lot. In the bare bones phone, where we have not loaded any new apps and we have only used the stock Android that comes with this device, there's a noticeable performance difference between the Moto G Turbo and the Moto G. The Turbo opens the camera faster, it is faster in terms of shooting images, it is faster in terms of general app performance and loading and things like that. And I'm not just talking about benchmarks. Of course the benchmarks are higher here, but in real world performance the difference between the two devices is quite noticeable, and that is something that we really appreciate. Another thing that we noticed here with our Moto G 3rd Gen and the Moto G Turbo is that the Turbo's camera is better. This takes brighter images and are sometimes even sharper and better with the details. That is something that many might enjoy, because Motorola has till now lacked the camera quality that most other OEMs provide. So yes, those are the two big changes with the Moto E. Moving to the battery then, which is the most important part of the Moto G Turbo, it still has a 2470 mAh battery, but with fast charging this time, which means that you can charge your phone from 0% to 27% in 15 minutes. Now that's not exactly the 6-hour battery life that Motorola promises through the 15 minutes of charging, but then again it's not bad. In about half an hour you can charge your phone to about 51% or 52% in some cases, which is again quite good. It's something that we have seen from phones that support fast charging, but then again there are very few phones that are this cheap and can still support fast charging. In fact, the Moto G Turbo is perhaps the only one. Overall, the battery life of the phone remains the same. The Moto G series has always been able to give you 1 day battery life, and even though this boasts a 615 SoC over the 410, it can nearly go up to a full day. I had no problems taking this phone to about 13-14 odd hours, and that is good for most people. Yes, it's not a full 24 hours, but a work day is pretty okay for most people. And add to that the fact that it has fast charging, that means that after 13 hours you can get another 27% worth of battery life just by 15 minutes of charging. So yes, I think overall the Moto G Turbo is a much better phone. If you're going to buy a phone right now and you have a sub 15k budget, you might consider this phone for two reasons. One, it performs better than the Moto G. And two, and very important, Motorola has better service support than most other OEMs in this range. So its competitors will be the Asus Zenfone 2, the Xiaomi Mi 4i and a myriad other phones. Neither Xiaomi nor Asus can provide the service that Motorola can, which is something that really works in the favor of the Moto G Turbo. If you have read or seen my Moto G 3rd Gen review, you would realize that I wasn't really happy with that phone, but with the Moto G Turbo I am quite impressed. And if you're considering a phone in this range and do care about the brand and service support, then the Moto G Turbo is the phone to go for, even though the Asus Zenfone 2 is still much more powerful than this phone.